Before I start my video, guys, I just want to ask a couple of questions when it comes to a Gold Bricks character. There's going to be three main questions and I'll put them at the top comment. The first question is going to be, do you want a choice crate? Answer yes or no. The second question is, what trait of a character do you want it to be? And the last question is, what role do you want that character to be? Do you want it to be damage, support, medic, tank? Do put your comments down below, an easy copy paste of the top comment and you can fill in the gaps. Now on to the video. Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be talking about the next gold bar or gold brick character, whether it's going to be a choice crate and what sort of character would be the best character to see. And the reason we're going to be talking about this right now is because there is just over a week remaining until the current collections in the black market expire, which is going to be for Glenn, who was the alert character given out as a non-choice before, and also the knives that are available to upgrade your S-class characters that you get via the choice crates in the past, and Glenn himself. If you go to the black market and then go to your gold brick section, you can see Glenn and the knife here. You've most likely claimed Glenn and all the knives that are available. I think a lot of people would have had all the knives by now for quite a little while. I think for me it's been a couple of weeks. And as you can see, there's 8 days left on both of these collections. In the past, when the gold bars or gold bricks character expires, it generally takes a couple of weeks for anything else to come out or any sort of information to be released. So we still could be extra weeks away, but we should have the next release of a gold bars character hopefully within August, as long as things go as they have previously. Now, as you know, the last release of a character was a 100% character in that you didn't get a choice. It was just, here's Glenn. A lot of people didn't like Glenn, myself included. He hasn't made any sort of dent in my roster in any shape or form. No part of the game is he useful for me. SR is just not even useful for me in there. He maybe could go on a Walker team in SR, that's about it, but realistically so could a 6-star character, so he's not done anything for me, unfortunately. And that was a big annoyance, mainly because in the past they've done a choice box where you could choose James or Krista in the first ever choice box that came into the game. This created a lot of buzz. I'm going to be honest, this was quite exciting. It was the first S-class a lot of people got, myself included, because it was the first one they handed out. I think Scopely realized there's a big power differential between teams right now because they had released, I think, Pete and Priya by this time. So they had to release a damage dealing S-class to the masses, and they did that. Obviously, the second iteration, we got to pick a new character in Angel, who was great because she was a character that could counter the likes of Doc Stevens, who was just running rampant on defense teams at the time. Even in the S-class era, still dangerous to this day, but at least we've got something to combat it in general usage. On the other two characters, you could choose a double down. Some people did go for double James, some people did go for double Krista. Not highly recommended, as I think Angel is the best character in there up until this day, but we didn't get that extra character in there. A lot of people, myself included, kind of assumed that it would be a fast character because that was the one trait that wasn't represented in that crate. But we did get Glenn, who was, like I said, a non-optional reward, and hopefully this is not something that's going to happen going forward. The return of the choice box, I would say, is important because there are a lot of people who did miss out on Angel here, and she has been useful for me in particular teams. I used her quite a lot, obviously, when I got her initially, but we have seen the meta defenses change quite heavily based on the fact of AP game kind of being a self-destruct mode, and there have been characters coming out recently that still utilize heavy AP gain, and Angel is still here able to help free-to-plays mainly deal with those sort of teams. The likes of Tanya, the likes of the very recently released Noor, those sort of teams do have a counter if they are used on a defense team, and I think it's very important that a crate comes out where people can choose this character if they missed her initially, because it can very much hurt your teams on attack and the defense, if I'm honest, if you do not have her. As a defense leader, she is also great. Obviously, the 40% defense to all teammates, just basically having a rainbow lead accessible, is very, very important. So what S-class do we need? This is a big question, of course, and it will be very different from roster to roster. But if I look at my own roster, I can go through the traits quite easily now. If I click strong, you can see I've got 5 strong characters. 2 of them are promos, so a lot of people will have 2 to 3 strong characters, depending if they pick James up or not, depending if they did go for Dayu or another strong promo with the cards they could grind out, or if you got lucky on a pull like myself with Michonne. If I go for Alert, I think this is the trait that a lot of people have multiple characters of, because obviously Erin, war character, Kapoor, war character, Glenn was just given out. But there isn't anyone sort of formidable here other than the Erin. I do have Raulito as well, not really ever used him, I just came into getting his cards over time. And while Kapoor and Glenn could potentially be used on a defense team for newer players, they can't really be used in conjunction with Erin, one of the only attack leaders given out, because they don't utilize her percentage damage on her leader skill. So potentially maybe an Alert character, but it would have to be a character that works with Erin here. The same could be said for Strong as well, because obviously Erin is a Strong and Alert leader. Next up we have Tough, and I don't think Tough is going to be an issue for majority of people, just because most people obviously have dedicated a lot of their shard growth to tough characters. They've got the triple effect for a lot of people. Priya, Princess, Mercer, those 3, just obviously 3 of the stronger characters. They're some of the earlier characters that you can get in the daily crates. There were events around Princess. Priya's been out for a very long time, so a lot of people have got their hands on her. And Mercer's, a lot of people just dedicated themselves to getting him from war and so on, because he's very, well, at least he was very powerful until Axel came out, but he's still very good on an attack team as well. And the majority of people did pick up Angel as well. I did do a poll about this on my community tab once upon a time, and the majority of people were picking up Angel as the character when she was released in the crate. Now for me, the main trait issue is, of course, fast. Now I only have 2 fast S-class characters. One of them is a promo. I could potentially have Aaron as a fast S-class as well, but I don't actually have him leveled up. Even if I did, it wouldn't be really that big a difference. It's mainly an issue here for, obviously, SR. There are not a lot of fast free-to-play characters that have been released, parts of events, you know, easy accessible characters, and this is why it makes it even more like, where is that fast character that's going to be in the Gold Brick Choice Crate? Because this is exactly why a lot of people expected it, because we have had accessibility to all the other traits, just fast not so much. And it would also be nice if my fast autofill team on SR didn't look like this 95% of the time. And that's pretty much how it looks. Arav obviously does carry this team in SR for me, so there's not much of a problem there. But it's just, there should be some other characters. So a fast character seems like the obvious choice for the majority of people, I think. Unless you're someone who's gone on much more recent promos, you're not going to have as many fast characters. Another option, however, could be a strong or an alert character that is a percentage-based damage dealer, or someone who will work well with Erin on an attack team. I do a lot of team building on my Discord, and I do see a lot of people posting their teams and their rosters. One of the only offensive leads that a lot of players have, especially when they're newer to the game, is Erin. It's the only leader they have, and they don't have really any other characters that can work with them. If James and Krista obviously came back in the choice crate, they could pick up one of those 2 characters. So I think maybe a support character that can help out on alert or strong teams could work well. If it's a character that can work with Axel or Erin, even better, and that way it helps everybody. A lot of people will look at that character and be thinking it's extremely useful. If you're someone who buys promos on the regular, you probably have Axel or have a lot of him, or maybe you missed him, and then when he comes back around because of this new support character that you've got, you want to go for Axel. If you're not someone who buys promos or gets the latest characters, you've got Erin who can work with them as well. I think a great offensive support character would be someone like Kate. Obviously, I think the downside of her is that she does do the attack buff, which is what Axel does, so it could be something different. For instance, a line of enemies get defense down for a turn. She could also do some damage. I don't think she'd have to do focus, but I do think there needs to be some sort of HP gain on whatever character comes into the game, whether she's fast or whether she's strong. I think those are the 3 traits the character should probably be. There needs to be some healing in there, just because there are 0 free-to-play medics. If you go into the arenas, when it comes to medic arenas, if you hit autofill, majority of people are getting 6 stars auto-filling into their team, like the likes of Rosita, old school 6-star medics, because there are just not enough medics in the S-class era for free-to-play. The last time this crate did come around, something I did request was a melee leader. We did actually get one, obviously, in Ivan Nova. All melee teammates get 40% attack and a huge bonus to AP when attacking. We needed this at the time, and the gold crate seems to be something that Scopely utilizes to plug holes in the meta for the wider player base. And right now, the biggest issue is a healer, and it is mainly going to be to combat. Now, Infection is still ridiculously powerful, obviously, especially the Trader to combat Infection and these very, very tanky defense teams to just keep attack teams alive a little bit more. Now, the heals would help against the likes of the Trader for the first couple of turns, but once his rush gets rolling, obviously, the 100% heal reduction comes in. The fact that his weapon is a 1-turn Infection right now rather than the 2-turn as it is advertised. It does say 25% Infection for 2 turns. Unfortunately, right now it is 1. It doesn't seem like it's going to be fixed by Scopely either. And once that rush gets rolling, it's very, very hard to break out of that, and it's generally what is going to take you down. So my opinion is pretty straightforward. Either a strong character that is offensive, that can utilize the percentage bonuses from the attack leads of Erin and from Ivanova, because obviously those are the most free-to-play leaders out there. An attacking character that is alert, that can be used on Erin teams, but also potentially Axel teams. Or if it was going to be a fast character, potentially a defensive medic lead. That way it could be used on a bleed team as a leader, it could be used on a bleed team as a support character, or it could be used on any team as a support character if it was a medic. As long as the AP cost of the rush was not drastically high, like the likes of 58, they would always be able to get their rush regardless of what team they were going on. But no matter what happens, the most important thing is that people get a choice. I think the choice crate is the most important implementation to come back. It is a point of excitement within the community, especially within the free-to-play community, which don't get much excitement when it comes to, you know, character releases and stuff. A lot of the time, they're just looking at characters that they're not going to be able to get their hands on for months and months and months and months. And by the time they do, like Mercer, a character comes out, completely wipes the floor with them and makes them fairly useless in one of the key areas of the game where they were so strong. So hopefully the community will get something nice that will be useful for everybody, but the most important people to look after when it comes to the gold bars or gold bricks is definitely the free-to-play community to close the gap, which is currently some of the biggest issues we've faced in the S-Class era when it comes to the gap between the whale teams and the free-to-play teams. But do give me your thoughts on what I've talked about today. What kind of character do you want to see? What trait? What role? Do you want to see a choice box, or do you prefer to just be given no choice? That way everyone gets the same character. There are obviously upsides and downsides to both, so sometimes just making everyone take the same character can be beneficial to taking the game forward for everybody, as long as the character is actually useful, which unfortunately, like I said before, Glenn was not. That is the end of my video though, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.